And Jagriti Dave joins me live from Washington, D.C. with more details. Jagriti, a very warm welcome. Now, what's Operation Legend and why has there been a spike in violence in certain parts of the United States?
So Operation Legend is the deployment of federal agents to cities across the United States. It's named after a 4-year-old boy who was killed in Kansas while he was sleeping in an apartment. And what this is doing is, as you say, it's part of the president's law and order pitch to the country, and he has cited cities like Chicago for the deployment of these federal agents. And Chicago in the recent days has seen an increase in violent crime, which, as you heard there in that clip, the president was trying to link to calls for police reform that were inspired by the protests that happened in the wake of the killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis in May. But there has been there are problems with violent crime in cities across the United States, and this is really part of the president's pitch as the law and order president in the lead up to the election in November.
Right. Jagriti, considering the surge of federal security officers are going to be sent to Chicago and 2 other Democratic-run cities, is the move one of crime fighting or electioneering, not to discount the president's poor poll numbers?
So the president has criticised several cities for failing for what he describes as failing to contain the protests in their cities. And this is what he just said of the mayor of Portland, who has been very unhappy about the presence of federal agents in his city. The federal officers in Portland were part of a Department of Homeland Security unit, and they had been filmed by bystanders, and they were filmed without any identifying markers. They were filmed detaining protesters for no reason, it seems. And the Department of Justice Attorney General William Barr was making it clear that the federal officers who are being sent to cities like Chicago will not be the same kind of agents that we saw in Portland. They are there to what the DOJ describes as to assist local law enforcement. Now, critics like the Democrat mayor of Chicago has called this electioneering. President Trump is, as I say, trying to pitch this as his show of cracking down on law and order. He has criticised the calls by protesters to defund the police or to call for police reforms. He believes that the majority of the police are good officers, and so it really depends on who you talk to as how they're viewing what this move means.
Two binary opposites as far as the 2 perspectives are concerned, but clearly the increased police staffing and aggressive law and order mandate has done little to control the uptick in violence, which in the first place is a reaction to police violence itself, as in the case of George Floyd. Will the surge in law enforcement guarantee effectiveness? And is it not important for the government to identify the cause for this crime? Let's not also forget the fact that, there's rising unemployment that has been caused due to the pandemic itself.
So the mayor of Chicago, again, one of the cities where federal officers are being sent, she's welcomed federal assistance to help with violent crime in her city. But she is concerned, and she was concerned, that if the federal officers were of the same kind that was sent to Portland, she was very clear that she rejected the arrival of those kinds of officers in her city. And the local officials in Portland are urging those agents to leave Portland because they say that they have made the situation worse on the ground. We have seen, since the protests began, clashes between law enforcement officials and protesters. And as I say, local officials will welcome help from federal authorities if they're there in a supportive role to help with community policing and to help curb the problem of violent crime that happens in major cities across the United States. But there is a genuine sense of concern as to how exactly these federal officers are going to insert themselves into the local communities.
Absolutely, and we shall perhaps learn more details once the operation unfolds in these cities. But now, thank you so much, Jagati, for bringing